Hey, what's up, folks? This is Seraph, the philosophy guy. Um, I just want to make a few comments on my new EP, Heretic, and I thought it perfect to actually do it on my podcast, the Academy of Secular Thought. So, before I do that, though, I just want to tell you that in a few days to come, I'll be putting out very long episodes of the Academy of Secular Thought because of a few circumstances that have changed towards positive light. So I'll be hosting a couple of conversations with brilliant thinkers and people that have the energy to address some of the most probing of questions. So I'll be doing that in weeks to come and days to come. So, but for today, I decided to just kind of give a few comments about the EP and what it encompasses and where it's from. So, to start off with the name, Heretic. I picked Heretic because, to a great degree, I feel like I am a heretic. Of course, the word had very negative connotations to it back in the days. So, for example, in medieval Europe, if you are found to be a heretic, then you are actually somebody fit for death. And I can give you an example of somebody that was dubbed as such. An example that comes to mind is a man for whom I had serious admiration. Even up down to this day, I still have serious admiration for the man because of the boldness of his character and the energy he had to take a stand for that which he knew to be true, you know. And that man is William Tyndale. William Tyndale was, I would say, a theologian to some degree, because back in the days, I would say vaguely, to put it vaguely, in medieval Europe, in the Dark Ages, it was actually prohibited to translate the Bible in a language that the common man could understand. So, for example, English or something. Yeah, it was not really the priests who are on top of the hierarchy were not of the idea that people should be in a position to understand the Bible directly for what it is. So William Tyndale actually took it upon himself to secretly see to it that the books of, say, the New Testament are translated into English for the common man to understand. Then the church found out that that's what the brother was doing. So they went on a manhunt to look for William Tyndale. But one of his friends actually backstabbed him and gave the authorities his location. And then William Tyndale was located. And after he was located, he was then tried, and after he was tried, he was found guilty of heresy, and then he was strangled at the stake. So here's the thing: people would be burnt alive. You know, they would burn you at the stake for simply being found victim or guilty of heresy. That is breaking religious law of sorts. So William Tyndale was found guilty in that trial. So he was strangled first. At first they strangled him, then he blacked out. And then after they strangled him, they were of the idea probably that he's dead, you know. And then to give an example to the public, they would burn these people in public spaces where people would be able to see what's going on. So like marketplaces, for example. And then William Tyndale was actually faced with the same fate, unfortunately. So he was strangled in public space, and everybody was seeing what was happening. And after he was strangled, they then set his body on fire. And then, as he started burning from his feet up, he regained conscious. You know what I mean? Which was just pretty sad. So he died a very gradual and painful death for simply translating the Bible into English. So, the title of the EP is birthed from that. Of course, we don't live in such extreme times where deviance is paid with such gross violence or punishment of sorts. We live in a society and social sphere where people can say pretty much anything and get away with it. You know, we're not living in the dark ages. They were called the dark ages for a reason. So the name of my EP is kind of birthed from that, because to a great degree I feel like I share William Tyndale's position, not that of theology, of course, but that of breaking out of a particular religious construction, and then you then have to face the backlash. You know what I mean? And facing that backlash comes with like serious consequences to it, but emotional consequences as well. But anyway, yeah. So the name of the EP kind of comes from that struggle, because I mean I used to read William Tyndale. This William Tyndale's account used to like move me. I first read about William Tyndale when I was in grade 12, and I think that was like 2013 or something. Yeah. So it comes from that place where I feel like, like defiance or deviance to a great degree feels like a noble step, because here you are going against the norm. You know what I mean? There's a boldness that comes with doing that. And of course, arguably, it's not always that when people break away from the norm, then they're supposed to be like, upheld as like with admiration to some degree. That's not necessarily what I'm driving at. I'm just saying, in 90% of not really 90% of the time, but most of the times, it takes some serious grit and confidence and boldness to just simply stand out and take a different route. You know what I mean? Because it's more comfortable to be in a social space where you're sort of like a piece in a puzzle that's complementary to a bigger picture. Because that way you're just a face and a name, and you're not causing any trouble. You don't have to do any answering. Basically, you are not answering to anybody. You are just a piece in the puzzle. But when you decide to stand out, you have a lot of explanation to do and a lot of reasons to do. And most people just don't have the intellectual muscle to go through that process. So I thought that's something I should bring out in the EP. So the first song, though, in the EP, the conceptual Her, is a song that is inspired by an actual person. A lot of people were like, dude, all your sentimental stuff, be it poetry or songs, are usually very hypothetical. You have a hypothetical picture because you lack the experience to bring to the table for anything you talk about that's slightly sentimental to be of serious importance, because you just don't have the experience. And granted, I really don't have the experience, but I can tell you this, my friends, this was not really hypothetical. It was actually based on an actual experience. So the conceptual high is based on this particular person I met randomly. I won't specify the places I met. Look, I'm still a fan of secrecy, and secrecy is actually a good place if you're a coward and a softball. Yeah. But anyway, but I met this person, and I felt like when we had the conversation, I felt like I was talking to somebody with whom I can resonate with on a deeper level. And I mean philosophically, of course. I'm a philosopher. Yeah, so I felt that way. I've never really I have felt that way with certain people, but here was another person again, and I was like, what was going through my head at that particular point was, I could try to work out something here. Every person, at some point tends to think like that. So I decided to write the song about the whole situation, and through the song, I kind of narrate how it all went down and all that stuff, and what was going through the back of my head when I was thinking about this whole thing. Yeah, and if you notice through the breaks between the verses, there's like conversations that, in case you didn't know, that's Sam Harris and his wife Annika Harris. They had a podcast where they were talking about Annika Harris's new book, Conscious. And I think these guys are just brilliant minds. They're just so nice to listen to. I listened to Sam Harris's Waking Up podcast, and it's very addictive. If you start, you don't stop. He's got a soft voice, and you can listen to him talk all day. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the fun about it. And his wife too is like a brilliant thinker. And I decided to put them in between the verses in the conceptual art because I felt Anaka Harris and Sam Harris portray what it is I would like to attain from a sentimental relationship. It's something that I would like to attain, you know what I mean? I think they have a good thing going. And then Star Talk, the second song on the EP. Star Talk is based on is dedicated to a friend. A friend of mine, you know, like since, like I said, when I'm like I'm like a runaway child from this religious organization, and I won't say any names just so I shouldn't stumble anybody, because I think to a greater degree I'm still a considerate person. But so here's how it works: when you leave this particular religion, no one talks to you, because initially that's basically what the Bible says. People tend to cherry pick about what it is they see in the Bible, but well, this particular religion doesn't cherry pick. It simply takes the Bible for what it is. And if I was here saying that that's to a great degree something I should be arguing tooth and nail or fighting, it would be slightly dishonest on my part, because it is what it is and it's just brought out like that. But when people argue against this sort of like, you know, shunning, where people where your friends quickly switch and stop talking to you, when people on the outside look at that, they perceive it to be like a gross evil. But then when you show them, like, at the core of the issue here is a scriptural directive, they're like, no, I didn't even know that's the case. But well, that's the case. And I'm not one to be in a position where I should cry over that, you know. If I was in that friend's shoes, I would probably do the same thing. Yeah, and the song is not really bemoaning the fact that that's what happened. No, the song is simply saying, I wish you were here. So I wish we were in a position where we could socialize and have a conversation about the universe, the stars, evolutionary biology, Big Bang cosmology, all those big stuff I would like to talk about. But unfortunately, I'm in a space where I can't talk about them. So the song was basically about this friend. And practically, I don't think we'll ever talk ever again, unless he too becomes a heretic. And then the second song is God Was, or the third song is God Was. God Was is kind of birthed from a process, from a point where I was trying to say that debates, not really debates, but conversations about God are some of the hardest conversations people can have, because nobody wants to be in the wrong about a particular topic that they deem of serious importance, like God. You just don't want to be wrong about that, because in people's heads and eyes, that is the topic is a fact about life and death. So you can't afford to be wrong. Yeah, but then when you meet a person that has a slightly different view that runs counter with the one you have, well, that doesn't sit in well. You know what I mean? But these are conversations. But what I was trying to say was these are conversations that we should have regardless of your feelings. And I can submit that if you're not one that is familiar with God debates, watch some God debates. They will open your eyes and they will help you know how to engage in intelligent conversation. Because a lot of people don't know that there are such contrary views that run counter with their stuff, and they get so shocked. Like that's the case, you know. And people that go all the way arguing, say for example, for intelligent design and other stuff, don't even know like there's a better alternative, which is evolutionary biology. It shocks them that complexity can be explained on a naturalistic worldview. It's just like something that they never even conceptualized, simply because you've been hearing one narrative. Take some time to sit down and watch some YouTube God debates. They're eye-opening. They'll put you in a space where you're supposed to be, to help you intelligently contribute to the conversation should it rise. Yeah. The uncertainty principle. Well, the uncertainty principle is basically obvious. You know, the human experience, just being human and being here, the world around us, all begs for answers. Why are we here? The most important question of all. Do we have a purpose that transcends our being here, that transcends our natural world? And is there a spiritual realm? What was there before the Big Bang? Where are we going? Is there an afterlife? All those questions are questions that, to a large degree, and unsettlingly so, are questions that rest in the realm of probability. You can't place them anywhere around certainty and absolute truth. And that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. And because it's uncomfortable, they then postulate answers that they can't really prove, or answers that can't stand in the light of intelligent inquiry. You know what I mean? So because of that, they try in all their effort to have an answer for things. And the reason for that basically is because we are pattern-seeking mammals. So we want to have a reason for everything. We want to ascribe intelligence to everything. We basically want to have a reason for why we're here. But then that shouldn't really make you lie about something you know deep down that you don't know about with full certainty. You can simply just say you don't know. So the song was basically trying to get people to pride themselves in simply saying, you don't know. You don't have to lie if you don't. You could simply say, that's an area that I need to research in, as opposed to postulating stuff that don't make any sense. And then finally, Heretic is self-explanatory. I think the song itself kind of borders on what I brought out in the introductory part of this podcast, so I'm going to skip it. And then Soweto 514, that's the number of my hostel at Unza. And I think the song was basically dedicated to my roommates. I think, my roommates are the coolest, like Chris, Thomas, Caristo. And those guys, it goes down in there, Sometimes we argue about the most basic and stupid and nonsensical things ever. But we also argue about the most serious questions of all, to a point where the whole air in the room just becomes dry and hot. You can't all sit in the same place afterwards. You need some healing. That's how intense it goes down in the room. You know what I mean? We argue about different topics, but it gets so heated. And somebody that triggers all this 90% of the time is Chris. When Chris comes to visit, it starts small, you know what I mean? It starts very, very small, but it goes all the way. And the most heated and hostile, the most heated and brutal conversations of all are religious ones. Those that surround God issues, you know what I mean? It just goes down in there. And sometimes we would be arguing about a particular topic from, say, 18 hours down to midnight, you know what I mean? Until we're tired, or in one protest and says, okay, look guys, you've started making noise. I can't really bear this anymore. But then that's what makes us who we are, that's what shapes the minds that will drive social change. And I felt my friends needed dedication. We bitterly agree. We bitterly disagree there. We agree sometimes, and we dearly we love each other, you know what I mean? We've built this family that I feel should continue even when we leave school, because that's all we have, and that's all we have to show for. And then lastly, Supernova is just a track that I threw into the EP as a bonus track. And so Heretic is a very timely EP. If you haven't listened to it, give it a shot, man. And I was actually thinking I would do Heretic spoken word, same title, same everything, but now poetry. Impressive. And that's gonna come soon, coming soon. Heretic spoken word poetry.